The following is a special presentation from Johnston Health's hospice programs. The Tree of Light ceremony is a special holiday tradition for those whose lives have been touched by the Johnston Health SECU Hospice House and Home Hospice Care team.
Good evening and welcome to the annual Johnston Health Hospice Tree of Light ceremony. This evening's celebration is a special and important tradition for our community, and we thank you for joining us to celebrate, remember, and honor the loved ones we've lost. We hope this event will bring you a sense of peace and comfort during this holiday season. On behalf of all of us here at Johnston Health Hospice Programs, we wish you a happy holidays.
Hello, my name is Tammy Holt, and I have the privilege of serving as the Johnston Health Foundation's board chair. The generous support received from families, individuals, and businesses through the Johnston Health Foundation's Hospice Fund allows our hospice programs to provide quality, compassionate care at a time when families need it most. Your support has made a difference in so many lives, helping to cover expenses for patients in financial need, allowing for the purchase of essential equipment and supplies, and providing staff and volunteer trainings. Because of you, hospice is able to give families the opportunity to spend quality time with their loved ones. If you gave in memory or in honor of someone this year, from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you. I'd now like to introduce Warren Grimes and Brenda Stansel. Warren serves as the chair of the Hospice Advisory Board, and Brenda is the daughter of a former hospice patient. This evening, They would like to share their hospice experiences with you.
Good evening. My name is Warren Grimes, and I am chairman of the Johnston Health Hospice Advisory Board. I first became aware of hospice when my mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer in 1992, and she chose not to receive any treatments due to her advanced emphysema. She contacted hospice and signed up for the in-home health hospice program, and they assigned a volunteer, Helen Hood Wallace. Helen and my mother became really good friends over the period of time, and Helen usually came 3 or 4 times a week to visit. And Helen was a big help to my dad, and as far as helping him through the caregiving role. After my mother died, a few months later, Helen asked me if I would be interested in serving on the Hospice Advisory Board, and I said certainly. Hospice has much value to the local community in that it allows terminally ill patients to receive excellent and compassionate care, and this allows the family to not be responsible for so much of the caregiving and to be able to spend time with their loved one. One thing people should know about hospice care is that whether a patient receives in-home hospice care or care at the SECU Hospice House, a dedicated team of doctors, nurses, volunteers, and a chaplain are assigned to each patient. This allows the family to, again, as I said, spend quality time with their loved one and not having to worry about being a caregiver. It also allows friends and family to visit, and if you're a veteran, Hospice House provides a plaque at your door with American flag showing that you're a veteran, and has a special blanket, a blue and white blanket for all veterans. The staff and volunteers are so special because being a hospice nurse or a hospice volunteer is a true calling. They're here because they want to be here, and they're trained in providing end-of-life care to make one's transition from this life to the next life as painless as possible. Hospice holds a special place in my heart. As I stated at the beginning, my mother was an in-home hospice patient. My father and I were so appreciative of the dedicated and quality care that she received during the end of her life. I've also had many friends who were patients at the SECU Hospice House, and their families were also most appreciative of the care and support they received. I had a dear lifetime friend that just passed away this Saturday here in Hospice House. He and I graduated high school together, and his family brought him here last week, and they just were so appreciative of the care and compassion that he received. And I would highly recommend Hospice House to anyone who is watching this and has a loved one or a dear friend that has been diagnosed with a terminal illness. I would encourage anyone listening tonight to discuss hospice options with a friend or family member who's been diagnosed with a terminal illness. They will be most appreciative of the care that their loved one will receive and the time they will be able to spend just being by their loved one's side.
My name is Brenda Stansel, and I first became introduced to the hospice house when my precious father was hospitalized and we learned that his condition was terminal. After we got over that shock and we were en route to the hospice house, I did not realize what a wonderful support this facility, this wonderful home would be for us, both personally and for the care of my father. The 3 months that he was in the hospice house, this became our home away from home. It was a comfortable house where our family was nurtured by an extraordinary staff and volunteers, And all our needs were met while we focused on just having quality time with my father. The setting was beautiful, it was tranquil. My father's room overlooked a rose garden, and we had a squirrel that did all kinds of antics in the bird feeder to give us laughter. The kitchen was always stocked 24 hours a day with things we could find for snacks and drinks, and the staff made sure that we had sheets and blankets when we wanted to sleep over with Dad. It became truly our home. I will always be grateful to the staff that included Todd the chaplain, April the social worker, and Wanda the coordinator for the volunteers, because they gave us such beautiful support and helped us throughout not only the 3 months Daddy was there, but also in the following year after he passed, because they provided help with grief, understanding, and support that was an excellent component to being in the hospice house. You know, our family is totally grateful and always will be to the hospice house, but we also could have used the hospice home services. I know that they are also supportive as well, and I feel like both the hospice house and the home care for hospice people is just a tremendous gem for our community. They provide love and light and such service for families and the communities that we have here in Johnston County, and our family and I personally will always be grateful. You know, the hospice house had so many meaningful experiences for our family, but probably one of the most touching was when my father was brought in from the hospital. He was unconscious, and we didn't expect my father to live more than a few days. And Wanda, the amazing volunteer coordinator, asked me when we first got in if I would like to honor my father as a World War II veteran. Of course, I said yes. But, you know, so the next morning at 11 o'clock, we had family members in Dad's room. We had my mother, my brothers and I were there. And suddenly the room filled up with not only, you know, military retired folks, but also volunteers, and Wanda and Todd, the chaplain, were there. And the room was full with nurses and other people. And the military chaplain and their different groups of folks made a beautiful ceremony honoring my father for his service in World War II. And they had prayers and a song, and it was so beautiful. And Wanda had also gotten a blanket that had been hand knitted by some lovely person from a local church of the Stars colors, and it was put on Daddy's lap. And it was a beautiful certificate for us to keep. And our family truly treasured that moment. I mean, tears come to my eyes when I think about it. That day, there were very few dry eyes, and I will always be grateful that they talked to my father as though he could hear every word. He was unconscious, but I sure hope he did, because it was a beautiful moment for all of us. And I can only tell you that for the 3 months we were in hospice house, that was just a small part of the many beautiful things that were done for our family. And I observed so many other families being nurtured and supported during their own journeys. I saw Todd talking with families that had just entered the hospice house and they were starting this difficult process, and he was there to help them. And I saw April talking to folks as well, helping them with their questions and their decisions. And then, you know, I think about Wanda and all those amazing volunteers that made each day so comfortable for Dad, filling our rooms with flowers or other fresh ice or other things Daddy might need, making sure that We had all kinds of goodies in the kitchen, and the whole space was used to nurture us. We could walk in the gardens. We could find time to sit in this room and watch TV or talk to family. The whole house became our home, and we were touched and will always be touched by our 3 months here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Warren and Brenda, for sharing your meaningful experiences with us. As the hospice medical director, I have the opportunity to build relationships with many families that have been touched by the hospice programs here at Johnston Health. I know experiences like Brenda's would not be possible without our dedicated hospice staff. If you are a hospice staff member or volunteer or nurse or aide or housekeeper or maintenance engineer, I thank you for your tireless service and dedication. It's because of you, hospice's mission to create a place where comfort and compassion are provided at the end of life is felt each day by our patients and families. This evening, we come together as a community to honor our loved ones, and as such, we recognize our shared experiences of loss. The holidays are often a time when we feel the absence of those that are no longer with us. But this evening's event allows us to continue their legacy and reflect upon the memories we hold dear. During these times of sorrow, please know that you are not alone and that your hospice family is here to support you. I leave you with a quote from the poet Thomas Campbell: "To live in hearts we leave behind is not to die."
It only takes a spark to get a fire glowing, and sooner those around will warm up to its glowing. That's how it is with God's love. Once you experience it, you want to pass it on. What wondrous time is spring, when all the trees are budding, the birds begin to sing, the flowers start their blooming. That's how it is with God's love. Once you experience it, you want to sing the fresh like spring. You want to pass it on. I wish for you, my friend, this happiness that I found. You can depend on Him. It matters not where you bound. I'll shout it from the mountaintop. I want my world to know the love of God has come to me. I want to pass it on.
It's now time to light the trees. The center tree features ornaments with the names of over 300 patients who spent their final days in the care of Johnston Health Hospice programs from October 2020 to October 2021. And the ornaments on the two outer trees feature tributes from generous donors who have been touched by hospice. May the lights of the trees remind you of all that is bright this holiday season, and may you be encouraged to share the light of love with those who need it most. Thank you again for joining us this evening, and thank you to our special guests and musical performers. Following the tree lighting, we will conclude with a special message from Johnston Health Chaplain Todd Higginson. Please join our hospice staff, volunteers, and me in our traditional countdown. 10,
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This has truly been a special evening. We've heard messages of hope and joy. We've remembered and celebrated loved ones, and we've extended our gratitude to those who support the hospice programs here at Johnston Health. To the patients of hospice, we cannot express with words how grateful we are to serve you. And to the families of hospice, your expressions of love, hope, and compassion fill our hearts and remind us of what is special about this time of year. We're grateful to be part of your family. And now let us conclude the Tree of Light ceremony with these words of benediction. The light has splintered and overcome the darkness. We now walk forward in light. Let us depart from this moment filled with much hope, peace, and love. Amen. Again, thank you for viewing our virtual hospice Tree of Light ceremony. You may visit the trees on the front lawn of the SECU Hospice House anytime between now and the end of this year. And visit the Tree of Light webpage for a full listing of tribute names and more information on how you can honor your loved one. From all of us here at Johnston Health Home Care and Hospice and the SECU Hospice House, we wish you and your loved ones a meaningful holiday season and a Happy New Year.